They're guys. They do magic. They are the Magic Guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 233 of the Magic Guys. Can you believe that?
33.
To my left, we've got Nick K.
I'm Nick K, and to my right, Josh
I'm
Novito.
Josh Novito! Pheasant winner. Josh Novito. And for this episode, we bring you an hour of trivia. No, we're just kidding. We're going to work on that and bring it back even better than ever. But that was a fun episode. Hey, Nick.
You betcha.
Yeah. Thank you for your feedback. A couple of people were like, it was a bit fast and hectic. Well, we say we're fast and hectic.
Well, you strap in, bitches,
So
because
deal
this is
with
what
it.
we do. We go hard. We go
That's
fast.
right. That's no, but we love to try out different themes and different guests, which we'll get to in just a moment as well. But firstly, if you're in Melbourne, you got to get yourself to the Theatre of Magic in Melbourne this week. I think this deserves anyone listening to this in bed, cover your ears. Nick, how pumped are you for this weekend?
Super pumped. It's been a very different experience for myself, which is why I'm super excited to meet our guest today, because I've gone from being this private function, corporate function guy for the past 17 years of my career, and seldom do I do public shows, and now I'll be doing them on the regular, and along with that comes a lot of anxiety of, am I going to sell tickets and whatever else? Thankfully, Theatre of Magic is doing really well. The evening show has only one ticket left, whereas the earlier show at 4:30 has a few tickets left, so you guys might want to join on that one if you guys want to come along. So I, in the spirit of that, have lots of questions for our guest today. Before we press on, let's shout out to our friends here in the chat. We have Gary Davis, Scott Link, Tim Maskin, Dome Questions, Adonis, we have Seth, and our good friend Scotty P. Gentlemen and friends, thank you for being here. Of course, if you do have any questions for Greg, you can pop them into the chat. We'll, of course, present them to Greg. I want to pick this guy's brain. Are we ready to begin?
Let's bring him on. New York City magician, all the way from NYC, has his show, which is taking New York by storm, the close-up show, Magic at the Clock Shop. We got so many questions. I'm going to start by actually bringing him on. So please welcome, it's Greg Dubin. Oh, yeah.
Greg Dubin, you sexy beast. Thank you for being on our show. Please tell our friends, who are you and what do you do?
Hey, guys. My name's Greg Dubin, and I do magic, close-up magic. I'm a magician. I like you, I've been doing corporate, private, all kinds of stuff for the last 20-something years, and now I have my own space and my own theater. So, woo!
You're living the life, man. You're doing it.
Living the dream.
That's so good. What was it like when you were beginning, starting to do gigs in New York City? Like, how old were you then? And was it pretty? Is there a lot of competition? Is there a lot of what are clients even like in New York City?
Well, so I'm 52 now. I really started when I moved back to New York when I was 30 is when I really started performing. So, and I wasn't doing private and corporate events. I was doing a lot of public stuff. I'll have to go back a little bit. I was always into magic as a kid. I was living in San Francisco in my 20s, where I was taking acting classes. I did an acting program. I was going to, starting to get back into magic from a childhood. I think, largely from, David Blaine's special came out, and I was like, oh yeah, I know that one. And started going to the magic shop there, Misdirections. Everyone knows Joe at Misdirections. And, I was doing magic as like a hobby, and it was like a secret. And I started going to lectures, and, I saw like Jay Sankey, and, this is in the 90s, not knowing who these guys were really. And then, so quickly, then I did a program at ACT. I did a clowning class there. And at the end of the program, you do at the end of the 2 weeks of the class, you do a little presentation, and I did something where I vanished a silk, and she goes, magic, yes. And it was like, then when I go, oh, I can be performing magic. I don't have to be trying to be an actor. And that's about when I moved to New York when I was about 30, and which felt so old at the time, and now sounds so young. And in New York City, there's a vibrant kind of, I didn't get into the magic scene as much as I got into the variety arts scene. So I was working with a dance company that was like a cabaret company. We're very burlesque adjacent, still am. So I started doing anything I could, any kind of spots that I could, until eventually I was working at the Slipper Room, I've been performing there for probably the better part of 15 years, which is kind of world famous, kind of burlesque and variety. And I started doing gigs in that time frame where I was like, when I was 30 doing my stuff, I was looking like kids that are looking back when you're like 15 or 20, I was looking very circusy and clowny, and I was the Great Dubini. It's hard to shake that one. A lot of people still call me Dubini. I mean, that's the pretty good Dubini. But, then I just started doing gigs for $50, for $150, for $75, for no bucks, and then for $500, and then $750, and then I got a gray beard, and then suddenly I was like an adult. And then that's the quick version of it.
Is that what happens? We go gray and we grow up? Fuck that, I'm out.
No, but everyone else thinks you're an adult. So I was always doing a lot of, stand-up stuff and parlor stuff. And I have a lot of 5-minute acts, 7-minute, 12-minute, 15, I can do all that. So now I got to the point with all the corporate and private stuff that I felt pretty bulletproof. Like, I can go into any situation. I don't even need to know what it is. It's like, because, sometimes you go in and they go, oh, can you do 15 minutes up, and yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to do an hour if I need to, or I'm ready to do a room of 30 people for 3 hours. It's like, and, I'm doing all these different things, and I'm doing all these different shows, and I'm realizing, like, you're never going to really be happy until you have your own thing. And now I have my own thing, and it changed everything.
But there is so much to unpack there from what you said.
Yeah,
I think it's so interesting. No, it's great. No, it's great. No, I love it, because sometimes you got to see, like, you trying to get words out of an interview, and you're like trying to like wring a dry sponge, whereas you just have this like wealth of knowledge, and obviously you've been doing this for a while. But what I love about your acting background is, it was actually Robert Houdin who said something to the effect of, like, we're actors playing the roles of magicians. And
was that Robert Houdin who said that?
Pretty sure. I'll double check.
Yeah, you're probably right. My history's bad, but yeah, we're actors who play. Listen, I always say this: the two things that made me a better magician more than anything was bartending and improv classes. Yeah. Acting classes too, but bartending, waiting tables. I was thinking about it as I was like, because Also, thank you guys. This is my first time ever being asked to do anything on any magic anything podcast. You guys and one other. Benny from Atlanta. I was supposed to do his the other day, but this is my first time, and ever since I opened the shop, I got a write up in Genie magazine, which was like mind blowing. So this is the first time I've gotten any kind of a magic attention, which is great.
Let's go.
Yeah. Wait, what was the question I was interrupting?
Not at all. Well, just to clear up the quote. The quote in its entirety is: a conjurer is an actor playing the part of a magician. And that was said by Jean-Eugene Robert Houdin. Okay. Yeah.
So I was thinking about this leading up to that, and I thought, what was the best? What prepared me for this? I was a little kid, and I always loved magic, and I always had a thumb tip, and I always had one card trick that my mom taught me, and I always had, when you're a little kid and you say, I like magic, someone buys you a magic kit, and then your parents start saying, he's a magician. So I've been a magician my whole life, but when I was in college, And I had my first waiting tables job. I could barely walk up to the table. I was so nervous. And then, my first taste of any kind of celebrity was being a bartender at a busy bar and being able to just, talk, boom, 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 and approach people. And then the improv classes, which make you realize that there are no mistakes, kind of, and that everything is a gift. And to not be afraid if you fuck up, it's just, it is very important. But at the end of the day, it's just a magic trick. And if you fuck it up, you move on and they'll misremember it as long as you have something to follow it with. But
I feel like that should be the next quote. Like Roberto Dan's quote is good, but that quote should be good as well. If you fuck it up, it's okay because in 5 minutes, they'll misremember it. That's awesome. Like, how important do you find improv to be now? Like, having done that improv work, those classes in your magic? Because I feel like that should be a requirement for roving.
It should be a requirement for any performer should take long form improv, not these games where you dress up. Long form improv where you have to yes and everything anybody says is a gift. Look, I hate to toot my own horn, but listen, I never went far in improv. I never got onto one of the teams. I remember writing an email to the guy who ran the school saying, improv has helped me in my acting. It's helped me in my magic. It's helped me in my life. The only place improv hasn't helped me is in improv. So I got out of it because I wasn't, I guess, good enough to just do straight improv. But I was at a gig a few months ago and I had this new table. It was my first time using it. And the leg broke, the whole fucking thing fell over. It's the worst possible thing that could happen, right? And it was at like a pretty well-paid gig where they were selling tickets. They had 3 magicians in 3 different rooms. And later that night, one of the other magicians, my friend Andy Gersh, was bumped into a couple of girls a couple of women that had seen, and they were convinced that she's like, how did he get that table to fall over? They thought it was part of my act.
Wow.
And I was
remote controlled.
It just felt so good. I was like, so the worst possible thing that could happen to me is that all your props go flying off of a table. I'm doing cups and balls at some point. All my shit's in a servant behind it. And they thought I did it on purpose. So that I don't remember the details of what I did or what I said, although it's on video somewhere. I could never have recovered from that if I hadn't been an improviser and hadn't been cutting my teeth doing shitty gigs. There's no shitty gigs for any up and coming young magicians that are watching this whose hands still tremble when they do a card trick. Or you go to a gig and there's 3 people in the audience. That is giving you armor, Your teeth are I think of it as your teeth getting sharpened on the cement, you know what I mean? You're getting sharp. Every time you bomb, savor that moment, man, because if you're not bombing, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
That is some New York advice. That is going to keep you alive.
I will give you New York advice all fucking day, man, because it's Listen, I'm in Brooklyn, right? And now I'm finally having the best success of my career in magic, and I'm 2 blocks from my house, from my apartment. I'm in like this Italian neighborhood. I'm like a little old Italian lady there's people that never leave the neighborhood. It's like living in a small town. I go to the city to go see Broadway shows, and that's it. So it can happen for you anywhere, and it's not just because it's New York,
Well, let's talk about how we got there, because both Josh and myself perform regularly at the Theater of Magic, and we have this constant notion of like ticket sales and everything else, promotion. What I'm curious about is that this is a secret show. Like, it's a secret. And thus,
I say it's a secret.
Yeah. Like,
I air quote secret.
Yeah. So I find that very interesting because it's like secret show, but then obviously folks know about it because they're coming and they're filling the house.
Look, man, I don't know. I don't want to say it's luck, but a lot of it is luck. It's a combination of, I've been doing this forever. I've been living in this neighborhood for 22 years. I live in a neighborhood called Carroll Gardens. I jokingly say it's one of the nicest neighborhoods in Brooklyn. It's very, back people, I don't know if you'll get this reference, but people that live here say, but it used to be like Mayberry here, like Andy Griffith show. Like, it was like, and there's restaurant down the street that people literally come from all over the world for. There's a pizza place, Lucali, people come from all over the world for. There's Smith Street Tattoo Parlor. A lot of people come from Australia to come here for 10 days to get tattooed by these guys. They're my best buddies. So I have that here. I happen to live here. I happen to be good friends with the guy who owns the bar that my space is actually in. It happened to have its own facade. I've been daydreaming about having a clock shop facade with a magic shop behind it for 15 years, you know, and then it all came together when I was doing magic on Mondays here. So I have all that behind it. Then it's March. I'm putting this show together. I'm turning down gigs in April, freaking out, thinking I might have to call my brother and borrow money at the end of the month because I'm like, it was looking like April was going to be a really good April for me. So, and I'm saying, nope, I'm doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 p.m. That's it. Those are, of course, all the gigs I was getting offered. And I've built this facade. It looks really great, I think. But it was really just a sign that looked like an old, gold leaf sign, some shitty clocks that I had from my apartment and that people gave me. And then I could hear people walking by saying like, oh, is this what was here before? Or, is this what was? When are they going to open? And by the way, this was inspired by when I first moved to this neighborhood. I went out of town and I came back and I saw this antique shop and I was like, oh, I never noticed this. It's right on my block. How did I miss it? And I'm looking in, and then it turned out they were filming Spider-Man in my neighborhood, and they had some set designer built this. It went back like 4 feet, but it looked like you couldn't see all the way in. And I was like, that's so cool. So that was the idea. That's what sparked the idea for me way back then. Wow. But so I decided in March that I was going to do this thing in April. It was only supposed to be for a month. And I could hear people walking by saying that because it's right there. And then I thought, all right, I got to do something. So I ripped a piece of brown paper and I did this thing that, I mean, I don't know if they do it everywhere, but in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, my landlords especially, they write nasty notes. Who do you think you are parking your fucking car here? That kind of stuff. So I wrote, do not give this guy your watch in big letters with a Sharpie. And then underneath it, I said, because it's actually a hidden close-up magic parlor. And I taped it to the window like someone just put it there. And within like 3 minutes, I saw somebody like walk by, look at it, read it, and go, and I went, oh, shit. And so in that first month, people just from the neighborhood were just going and then sharing it on, and I never would have believed this. Facebook groups were huge because there's not a lot to do in this neighborhood for adults without their kids. So anyway, you get into Facebook groups, Instagram, whatever, and we did well enough to say, let's extend into March. The guy who I'm doing this, who has the space, said, all right, let's keep it going. And I got lucky. I mean, I also was emailing. It's called The Gothamist. It's a website. They have about 350,000 followers. I had been emailing one of the writers. She, okay, we'll try, blah, blah, blah. And then my ex-wife, they had a different secret theater in the city. It's a thing, She sent, anyway, eventually this woman wrote the article. And then I went from 3 shows a week to 8 shows a week. The ticket sales went like this.
Wow.
So it's been complete. That end of it is luck. And then right when it was puttering out, I got a story by Secret NYC, which has 2.1 million followers. And now I'm here for indefinitely. I'm here through the holidays.
I know what you mean, because like I've been prospecting to a lot of folks to come write articles and stuff. We have sort of the equivalents here in Oz, and like I'll try one email, follow it up, no response, a different email, or 3 or 4 different emails, and then just like nothing. So I think you're right in saying like sometimes it's just luck, and you've just got to have that persistence. And what I love about your story is exactly what you said. It's like you really got to cut your teeth. You've got to do the hard yards. You've got to have the heartbreaks. You've got to like really thicken your skin. This is all just part of like building your character and building the show and building the legacy in a sense.
And here's the thing, and this is another thing. It's taken me years to be able to say this comfortably, but here's the thing. People came, but then people started coming back. So people are not just coming and saying, oh, it's cool. the space is cool as shit. I'll say that. It's, I did it all by myself. It's all kind of organic. A lot of the shit's from the walls of my apartment, but then the show's got to be fucking good. And then people have to go, was so good. I loved it. I'm going to bring my mother-in-law back. I've had people come 3 times. I'm not changing the show up.
No.
I've had people come and then bring their office. I've had people come. So it's like, that's what you have to really,
that's where
you have to have a good show.
Yeah, that's where the talent actually takes over. Like you can have, like marketing will only give you so much runway, right? Publicity until you actually have to have a good shit, as they would say in New York. And then it keeps it going.
True.
And it seems like that's, wow. So from what was meant to be a month is now all the way up to September now.
I did the math the other day. I've done about 120 shows.
Wow.
Let's say I haven't sold them all out. They see 21 tickets. I've had up to 28. I've had a couple of shows where there were 5 people. So let's say 15. I don't know. What's 120 times 10? If I had 10 in a show, I've had 2,000 people here, or 1,500 or something like that see my show. It's crazy. Yeah. I have 800 emails now. That's the people that bought tickets. I just did because usually this time of year I'm getting heavy into my marketing for the holiday season. Shout out Noah Babbins or Jonah Babbins. Like I did his program for a year. I highly suggest anybody do it. But it changed my life because I started doing the doing the outbound email campaigns, and now I'm not doing it as hard this year because I have this as my backup, and people are finding me through this. So now my rates have gone up, and I have 800 emails that I can now send to people who have seen my show and say, hey, if you want to come over here and do the thing at my space, you can do it, or we can do it at your space. And you have to be, it's tough to be if you're a show business person, an entertainer, you have to, if you don't have someone doing the business for you, you got to do it all yourself. And I never had a manager or anyone helping me with that stuff. So, it's fun. I like it. And you have to always keep that in mind, though. You always have to be making the calls. Like, don't take it personal that they don't call you back. It's just put it on a schedule and do it. Because a lot of times they go, oh man, we've been meeting to, with Secret NYC. I hit them up like 4 times. And she goes, oh, we're so sorry. I just walked by there. We've been meaning to stop in. And they stopped in and they were so nice. They treated me like I was their client. They're like, the video's almost done. We'll let you know. Like they could have just come and put it out 2 months later and not said a word to me about it. But it was like, it just feels like everything's been going like the way it's supposed to, so.
Yeah, I think you make a good point saying that like show business is literally 2 things. It's the show and the business. And we have a question from someone in the comments regarding the show. It says here, I have a question. What kind of routines work in a cabaret style environment, or what type of routines don't work?
Do you mean cabaret style environment, like a stand-up kind of like talking about the slipper room type of thing?
I think how you were mentioning if someone at a gig said, oh, could you do 5 minutes on stage? I think that's what they're kind of referring to, like a cabaret, like, 50 people in a room and you're doing like.
Okay. Or like, or maybe even like the slipper room, there's 50 or 100 people. Look, I think I personally am of the school of thought of like, whatever you do and that you like, you can make it work on stage. The things that I've had a lot of success with are cards across, needle swallows, coin product. Like I do like a short coin production thing, a bottle production. And like a lot of people, when they see me, they go, you should do stand up. And I'm like, or you should do comedy. I'm like, did you just see my act? I am doing comedy. They separate it in their mind. If you don't say I'm a comedy magician, which I purposely don't say because that evokes something. I said, I already do comedy. So my line has always been like, I'm not the greatest magician in the world, and I'm not I like lean on the magic so I can do the comedy, and I lean on the comedy so I can do the magic. I love them both. I love to be on stage. So I do a lot of crowd work, and like magic is built for crowd work. You know what I mean? It's like you're bringing people up, you're having fun with them. So That's like a tough question because anything can work in that environment. You have to make it work. You could do a rope routine. You could do a card routine, a cards across routine. You could do French kiss. You can do a version of French kiss. You can do there's guys like that do a silent, like Alex Boyce does a dove act. I'm not going to do a dove act. That's beautiful, but you can do that. I don't know. You can't get doves, get fake doves. I don't know. Make it a comedy routine. Do something, you can do whatever you want. Silk to egg. You don't like sucker tricks. I love them. I always forget the name of it. The mentalism routine where everyone draws a picture and then, drawing duplication at the end. I don't know, dude. I don't know, man. You got to do what you love and then adapt it.
Well, let me ask a question with regards to like sucker routines, because we had a little chat about this backstage, and reviewers have said that your type of magic is the type where you like explain, but then pull the rug out from underneath them, much like you would a sucker trick. I actually been like myself, I said like your magic is gaslighting because you think you got something and it's totally something different. Now, in my opinion, I'm just trying to like go against audience expectation, right? And I don't believe that you would expose anything. Like there is a sort of satire that comes along with like exposing and protecting secrets. But what are the nuances of that, of being able to do things and pull,
Well, the truth of the matter is I don't expose anything. I do. My opening routine is silk to egg. It's my little version of it. It's a shortened version. So that's, you're not exposing any. I mean, you're exposing the fact that egg exists, that egg with a hole in it. Everybody knows about the thumb tip. So like I use a thumb tip all the time. My favorite time to use a thumb tip is when people go, man, I had this one thing, that plastic thumb with the piece of, with the red silk. And I'm like, yeah. And while they're saying that, I'm putting the thumb tip on and I'm going, that's for kids. You got $1 on you? And then I do a $100 bill switch in their face. That's my favorite thing to do. So the soak to egg, I say I'm going to show you guys how it works, and then I immediately pull the hole off and I crack the egg. I don't go through the whole explanation anymore, but and I say there, and then I tell them, and what I did there, folks, is I didn't teach you shit because I'm a liar, but I'm an honest liar. Blah, blah, blah. It's like that. But now I'm thinking about if it's okay with you, I'm going to say I'm a gaslighter, but I'm an honest gaslighter. That's good. That's like the modern version. That's the modern take on that. That's so funny. Like when you said that before, gaslighter is like, it's like because people gaslight people. You're here at a magic show. Unless you really think that I'm making the balls, I do cups and balls. In my show, I have 3 short acts. I say when I introduce the first act, we're going to do the classics. Ooh, I do silk to egg. I do a card routine, and then I do the cups and balls classics. Second act, I go bizarre magic, MAGICK. It's a genre. Look it up. And then I do, what do? I do needle swallow. That's a classic. I do a voodoo card routine that I adapted from what's his name? The English guy. Anyway. No. Drawing Room Deceptions is the book.
Guy Hollingworth.
Guy Hollingsworth has a voodoo card routine in the intro to that book. And he says, most people aren't going to read the intro, so I decided I'd put this card trick in there. It's for them only. I hope that's not exposure.
Nice.
But I took that and expanded it out for when I was doing Speakeasy Magic because I had to fill a 10-minute slot and I wanted to do needles, but I couldn't do that for 10 minutes in a close-up environment. That's a good example going back. I do the needle routine. I started doing that as a sideshow stunt for Ripley's Believe It or Not. I did it on stage for years. I can do that on stage for 7 or 12 minutes, but you can't do that for 12 minutes at a close-up magic show where there's a noisy room because you got to talk. You want to get. So I did that, but they're both classics. The third act, I said, journey into the mind, or is it? And then I go into how mentalists are the worst liars. No one can read your mind. I'm going to show you a bunch of things that look like mentalism. I'm not going to expose them. Then I do a bunch of mentalism, and then after all of that, I'm going to read one person's mind. I'm the only guy in the world that can do it. So it's like And then I just do all class. It's all at the end. The real illusion is like they're all the classics. Everything I do. So I don't know. I don't expose anything. They think that when I'm explaining a false transfer and I keep the ball in a finger palm position, and then next thing you know, I pull a full size tennis ball out. They think I've exposed it. Yeah, I exposed the false transfer, but like everyone knows, it's like not really, because then I go ahead and do it again afterwards, and they don't catch it. So
you're letting them like relax, which then to their peril. Make 10 tennis balls.
When they're relaxed, you can punch them in the stomach much lighter, and they'll feel it more.
So yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I just couldn't think of the words.
I guess that's the Brooklyn version of it. I'm not really going around punching anybody, but
the gut punch magic. That's a great. It's a great headline.
I puked all over the table.
Yeah. The gut punch and show.
My favorite is when people go, this is one of the hard things to get used to. When you tell a joke, it's like that Pete Holmes routine. You tell a joke, there's a natural biological reaction. You laugh. You do a magic trick good, and there's just stunned silence. Or a lot of times. Sometimes you get a person that goes, "Oh my God," and that can be too much too. So the hard part is getting used to the stunned silence. And then I feel like the vocal version is that people will go, "Oh, wow, that's pretty good." And I know what they're saying. And they're saying, "Holy shit, that was amazing." But they're like, "That's pretty good." So I'm always, I'm always like, "Pretty good. Cool. Can I use that as a quote on my website?" And they're like, No, I'm saying. And I go, "I know what you're saying." So
it's got to be, I've always found that odd. Like, because you can amp up the comedy, like the riffing, and get the bigger laughs and instantaneous. And then you switch to magic, which sometimes, because it's serious, does that. Does that ever in your brain conflict like, let me jump back to a joke to get something?
Always.
Or like, that balance is so bizarre to be okay with.
I always get that note. And I think the reason I get it is because the note I always get is you went too long. You're going too long. You're taking too much time. Because I think sometimes I go back to like doing bits when I should just stick to the routine, man. Keep it snappy. There's always, the note. I was just talking to my buddy the other day about it. He's a magician, one of the few that have come to the show. And he said, my only real big note for you is keep it moving. Move a little bit faster. So I feel like if you have a director, the two notes that you're really ultimately going to get are speed it up or slow it down, And I have moments that I need to speed it up, and I have moments where I should really slow it down. But it's really usually the speaking. You got to slow down, but the pace of the show, keep it up. That's my note. And I think I've never thought about this until you just asked me, but I think it's because I lean back. I sometimes get that moment of like the stunned silence, and I go, "Fuck, they hate me. Shit. Why is that guy looking away? Fuck." He knows he's leaving. I hate myself. I tell people all the time, this is all false bravado. I hate myself just as much as you do. I just do it into my pillow at night instead of here. So,
yeah. Well, let's have a discussion about how to combat that. Because a lot of times, like, you perform and everyone, will lose their minds. And what I used to say very early in my career is I'd go and the crowd goes, and I try to talk him through it. And I go, what I'm seeing is a lot of this. And I show like a stunned face, but what I need is this. So I know you're having a good time. Okay. So let's try it again. And then you do like the routine again or something like that, the phase again. And then all of a sudden everyone claps. And it's almost like demanding applause. But I don't like thinking about it like that. I don't force it. It's just educating them on how to communicate.
I feel like I've gone back and forth on that because I did a bit of street performing this is another thing. I never became a full-fledged like really good street performer or busker, but I did it a lot just because I didn't have gigs, and I was like, I live in New York City. Fuck it, I should go down to Central Park. And some days I'd go and then leave, be scared. But I have a good friend of mine, Magic Brian, that's what he did his whole. He does festivals and everything. And So I know in that world, it's a requirement. It's part of the art form is to get people applauding, and you have to tell them, and they have to applaud.
Yeah.
Because when they applaud, it attracts a crowd. When they freak out, it attracts a crowd. The hard part is you don't need applause in a show, in a close-up show at a theater. You don't need it. I mean, your ego needs it, but you don't need it for the show. So, and believe me, I'm saying this like it doesn't matter. I know that when they don't applaud or they don't, especially when you have one audience that is applauds and one audience that is very quiet, you feel like shit. That second show, it wasn't good. But I think a lot of us get fooled. Like I'm trying to put this kindly, to be kind to myself too, is that just because people are reacting loudly and strongly doesn't mean it was that good. It can't. I mean, sometimes it's like,
good point.
I've seen some shitty fucking magic and seen few of the people in the audience freaking the fuck out. And then going like, what? And then, that person who has been me, I know, leaves thinking like, I'm fucking great. Did you hear the way that guy was reacting? Holy shit. They loved me. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's like you have to get used to it. Like I comment on it now, but instead of saying like applaud, I say like, I'll say things like, hold your applause till the end. And then they'll go, I'm like, no, don't do anything you don't want. I don't want to force you to do anything. That kind of stuff. I don't try to get them to applaud anymore because you don't need it especially in this space. I can show you. I have a table with 21 seats or with 8 seats around it. It's hard. I'll show you after, and 15 around me. So I don't need the applause. My ego needs it.
Yeah, that's right. And people sometimes will feel in an intimate setting self-conscious to make a lot of noise. That will take up the whole room.
If you don't have sometimes you just need 1 or 2 people in there that know how to react, and then that cues the rest of the audience. But I mean, here's a good note for people, and I know like a lot of us are like some form of undiagnosed, autism. We're all on this spectrum, but like a lot of people have trouble making eye contact and are just looking. But you should be looking at your audience's faces, because you can tell a lot. Because if someone's not reacting audibly or you can tell usually by their eyes or by, how you can tell like when there's magicians in the audience or magic geeks, because they're like the little like tweaks that you've made on your cups and balls routine, or the little thing that you do, you can see them react, you can feel them react. And it's not always with like, they're not reacting like that, but they're going like, you can, but you can only see that if you can see it, if you're like too like this. That's why you got to be able. That's why when you're practicing all your stuff, you're learning to not look at your hands, because you got to be looking at their eyes.
And it just depends on the environment as well. Sometimes, I did a thing recently where this company that like had a really good corporate culture and they were really stiff. And I made friends with this bloke, and I was just like, everyone's pretty stiff, huh? And he goes, we just been bought out by another big company, and they've taken away all the stuff that made us us. Like we used to have a bar. Right. Like in the kitchen, we had like our own bar with like a keg. They removed all of that. They've killed our corporate culture, and now we're among all these strangers, and so everyone's too afraid to know how to act. Everyone's too afraid.
And they were bummed.
And everyone's they were half bummed that they've had all this like corporate change. They were half bummed that like, like I want to clap and have a good time. I'm having a few drinks, but like I'm amongst the higher ups and I don't know how to behave around them. So you never know like why people are going to be repressed in their enjoyment. But look, however they're enjoying it, as long as they're enjoyment, I think that's the important bit, right?
Hey, as long as they're enjoying it and telling their friends about it and sharing it.
Yeah. That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Equally as important. Yeah. I mean, the fact that people are coming back, like you said,
blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I've been booked by, like, engineers are always the ones whenever I get booked for an engineering firm for a party, I know I'm going into it with this stunned in silence quiet audience because their brains are like magicians. They like to see stuff and then try to deconstruct it. And that's the space of time people would normally applaud. But I'll get rebooked to go and do them again. And they're like, we want to book you again. I'm like, why? You were at the last show. And they're like, no, everyone loved it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Engineers. Yep, great. And you can use that knowledge against them, like particularly for engineers, for anyone listening, like people that are stunned and silent. If it's because they're just really soaking in what you're doing, you can play with that as well. It doesn't have to be
also,
so
Let me throw this out there. Let me throw this out there to you guys. Just recently, I said this to a guy I was working for. I go, it's a lot easier to fool smart people than it is dumb people. And the reason I say that is this. A dumb person believes their own bullcrap, like full on. They're like, you've got 9 magnets and some chicken wire and a thingamajig, and you've got surgically implanted magnets in your hand, which is why you can do the muscle class.
In your hands.
Yeah, no, you see this? Yeah, that's not like your lines. That's a surgical mark, and you put magnets in there. And that's how the coin goes from hand to hand. That's how you muscle pass. And I'm like, oh yeah, definitely, you know. Or I get like, you're the devil a lot, and it's just like, bro, calm down, you know. I think smart people think before they speak, typically, and they go, you did it. Well, he couldn't have. Oh, he must have. No, that didn't work either. So when you construct your routines in a good way that like you have these notions that can cancel it out, logic traps, as I call them, it's great. But dumb people just
also
spit whatever's in their minds.
But also smart people, if you're also emotionally intelligent, know that even if they figure it out, look, sometimes people just figure shit out. They have the mind like a magician, and they go, "Oh, he must have." Like sometimes they say it. You must have had 2 cards with the same signature. I mean, there's just people that get that automatically see it. That used to bother me.
Yeah.
That's just the way the world works. That guy will probably go home and like find, maybe we'll start doing magic. Like that's the way I look at it now. So like, yeah.
And there's also the thing too, where sometimes when people do have a little bit of magic knowledge, it makes them appreciate what you're doing way more as well, because they can tell what you're doing is real.
If you're a smart person
or a skill.
If you're a smart person, yes. But if you're a dumb person, it's like, I got a magic kid as a kid. I know everything that Copperfield does. You're like, calm down.
What I was going to say, I was going to say is that if you're smart and emotionally intelligent, even if you do know exactly how it works, they're the ones that don't blurt it out because they know not to be an asshole, or they know like if I yell that out, it's going to make me look like a dick or make them look like a dick. And I like when those people come over afterwards and go, dude, I saw what you did, but it was fucking beautiful, or some version of that. I feel like dumb people just are like, dumb people do what kids do sometimes when they go, I saw your hand had it, even when that's not what you did, but they're positive that's what they saw. They're just making up something they thought you did and then saying they saw it. You know what I mean? People do that all the time. And when an adult does that, I'm like, okay, if you saw that, then that's incredible because that didn't happen. I'm thinking that, but that's what dumb people do.
I think that's where I become the gaslighter, because I'll do like a false transfer and I'll put it in my eye and be like, yeah, and then they're looking at my hands being like, nah, and they go, it's up your sleeve, and they're pulling up my shirt, and I'm like, nah, keep looking, you'll figure it out, but I'm looking for a coin, it's about this big, let me know when you see it, yeah? And I'm just like this the whole time, and then they go like, oh, you prick, and I'm like, yep, I'm that guy. So
yeah. By the way, I just noticed that we're all wearing black T-shirts.
I was wearing a white one before, but I wanted to fit in. So
that's what we magicians do, right? We all wear
black.
Do
I have to get a hat now? I'm gonna get a hat. God damn it.
I particularly, and Greg noticed it, I particularly put my New York hat on coming into this episode. Someone made a joke at Magic Live. All magicians wear black because we're trying to hide that we're slowly putting on weight as we get older. And so it's just, it's fashionable.
That's not wrong. I often wear just a white T-shirt too. So
great. Is it a tall tee or is it like a slim fit?
I'd rather not go into that. I told Nick that I didn't want to talk about my fashion choices.
We're not talking fashion. I like it. All right. Well, tell me about
Can I find this one? This is
magic
from
shows in New York City real quick. Like, obviously, there's a lot of shows there. I mean, I remember when I turned 30, I particularly went to New York to go and see Chamber Magic, Steve Cohen show.
Excellent show.
Yeah, it's amazing. And similarly, he did at the time, very little marketing of it, at least to hit Australian markets. But I just kept getting told about it from people, and I feel like that's a similar vibe of what's happening with you as well.
I mean, look, when I first moved here, there was Monday Night Magic that I know about. There was Monday Night Magic, and there was Chamber Magic, right? I don't even know if that had started yet, but that was basically it, right? Then there was, what else was there? Then Noah Levine started doing his show at Tannen's. It's called, what's it called? Oh, shit. It's a wonderful show. He's a great magician. He was a demonstrator at Tannen's for a long time. And then, of course, was Speakeasy Magic first? Then Speakeasy Magic came. That was created by Todd Robbins with the producers of Sleep No More. One of the best magic shows you'll ever see. I did it for a long time, for a couple of years. Then there was Dan White and his show. There's a ton of magic, but back then there wasn't much, There was Monday Night Magic, and I was not one of those guys hanging around Monday Night Magic trying to get into it because I didn't feel ready, I was afraid to perform around magicians back then.
And just quickly, Noah's show, was it called Magic After Hours?
Yeah, Magic After Hours. It's in Tannen's Magic Shop.
Yeah, wow.
It's great. Noah's like one of these guys who's like a historian. He's very smart. I think he's at Genie magazine now. I think he's the editor of Genie. Wow. But that show's amazing. There's Gary Farrar has a show called Nothing Here Is Real. Do you guys know Gary Farrar?
No.
He's a worker. He's a guy like that. I don't know how well known he is in the magic world, but he's a worker. He's like really, really good. I saw his show and I was like, shit. When you see magic shows, you either hate them because they suck or you hate them because they're so good. I was like, I hate you, man. So good. We have 69 Atlantic down the street. For me, have you guys heard about 69 Atlantic?
No.
Probably not. I don't know. I live in Brooklyn. This place opened. It's what's his name? God, I'm friendly with him. I can't believe his name is. I'm 52, man. I forget all kinds of Adam, Dan and Dave Buck. Those guys. They have a store called The Art of Play, and in the back they have a 20-person theater. I didn't even know they were opening it, And then I was like, shit. That was when I was like, all right, I'm opening my own space. Fuck this. I'm at Speakeasy Magic. I'm a backup guy there. It's not my show. I love that environment. Performing at a table with people around me. There's a magic store opened in my neighborhood. It was called the Brooklyn Magic Shop. And people started texting me, you opening a magic shop? I immediately thought it was a bar, but they teach kids magic. So it's not really a full magic shop, but it's in the zeitgeist, man. I don't know. And then 69 Atlantic opened up. They're selling tickets for $120, $250. They're bringing in acts from all over the world. They're bringing in like Dave Williamson and he's selling out 5 nights in a row. And they're bringing in, and I'm going like, people are doing this. I'm like, I got to do my thing now. So that venue inspired me. The only reason I haven't been to 69 Atlantic is because when they first opened, I'd go to buy a ticket and they'd be completely sold out. Imagine if Dave Williamson came to your town for 4 nights. Do you think he'd sell 4 nights out?
Yeah.
He would? I didn't know people know him outside of the magic world unless he's gigging,
Right.
So,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I figure just with magicians alone, like if he was in a 20-seater or even a 50-seater.
Yeah, you're right.
Just with magicians alone,
So, it's like, I was like, there was a quote. Someone quoted me in the first article. It said, where I said to her, I see all these other venues opening all over the city, and I was like, fuck it. It's my time is now. Because why? If them, why not me? Right? There's 8 million people in this city, right? And everybody, there's so many people that come to my show are like, oh, we've been to Speakeasy Magic twice. We've been to 69 Atlantic. What else shows? What other shows? Oh, Noah Levine show? Yeah. So it's like, we're not in competition with each other. We're really like, you know, it's good that they're, you know, I wish that you could open this same setup in every borough in New York. And I think it could do well because people like to go to weird places here, you know, and there's just a lot of magic. So we have Monday Night Magic, we have Chamber Magic, we have Dan White's show is back on, which I've also never seen. Steve Cohen's show is amazing. There's Urban Illusions. That's forgetting his name too. Another really nice guy. A lot of guys are doing their own thing now. Some guys did out in the Hamptons. It's called the 20-seat theater or something. There, a lot of people are doing this. Small little venues. It's like I want New York to be like Tokyo.
Well, yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. I was going to say that like the close-up scene between like New York and Tokyo. I was just sort of seeing some correlations. Like, have you seen the Tokyo scene? And
I went to Tokyo once, and I was there to perform, but not as a magician. I went with this company that I used to dance with. They're like, we did the Nutcracker Rated R. We did that for 10 years. That's where I met my ex-wife, and I was in that show. And that's the first time I did any kind of magic consulting because I basically created the dollhouse. I built a dollhouse illusion because we turned a toy rat into a live dancer rat. So we put it was like I was proud of it. It was a gingerbread house where we put a stuffed rat in, and then she pops out and does a whole number. But someone picked us up and brought us to Tokyo. So I didn't really get to see much magic there or any magic because we were performing the whole time, but I saw some street magic. But I looked it up the other day. There's a ton of little tiny close-up magic theaters. And in Tokyo, shit's like on the 8th floor of an office building, you know, it's like,
correct.
So, you know, I think that could work, I think, in any city because people want to support you. And really another thing that was happening to me is that I'd be at gigs. You know, you get to a certain point with these corporate gigs, you can walk right into them. You know exactly what works. You can suss the crowd out. All right, like we were just saying, like, all right, these guys are engineers. These are the sales guys. They're going to be dicks, you know, like, but they're going to be loud. So I'll hit them first. And then, you know what I mean? And that's the boss. And you're like, and then this guy I'm going to walk away from. But the people that were loving it were going, where can we come see you perform? And I go, well, I perform at Speakeasy Magic, but I never know when because I'm a backup guy. And I do the Slipper Room, but that's like once a month. And, you know, I got one in August 12th and I got one in September 23rd. And, you know, I'm going to do a show here and I might do a thing. Follow me on Instagram and I'll let you know. And that's why I was like, just in like handing out my my little flyer to people to be like, come to my venue. You have a venue? Well, I do my show there. So just in that as a way to showcase yourself for corporate clients, it's a great thing to do if you can find a tiny space and maybe share it with a couple of guys. Like, I want everybody to do this. I want other performers to do this. It's like, let's cut out the fucking producers that use us and don't tell us what's going on and don't give us contracts, you know, like, fuck them. All I want to do is perform. I want to just do my thing, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, you know, you said it. And also, I think it was Adam Rubin. Is that the Out of Play theater guy
Adam
you were
Rubin.
trying to remember?
The Rubin. Very sweet guy, very smart guy. I met him performing at Speakeasy Magic. But here's the thing, you know, when you're at Speakeasy Magic, at least for me, we don't see the other performers. No one auditioned me. You know, Todd just was like, all right, you're in. You got a tight 10? Boom. No, they hire you if they know you can do it, at least in my case. So I've never seen the Rubens act there. You know, I went once to kind of just to see the show. But other than that, here's a piece of advice I'll give to young people. Not even young people. I was old. I wanted to do that show for so many years. I was reaching out to Todd all the time. I'd love to do the show. We'd love to have you. I'd love to do the show. I'd love to have you. And then I got into this space of like, those guys, forget about that. I'm not going on that show. And then one of my, you know, business coach was like, hey, we're coming to New York. Want to check out that show? If you want to come with us. And I said, hey, I could probably get you some discount tickets because I get emails about them, but I'm not going. Why not? I'm like, because they don't want to use me. And he goes, all right, so you're not going to the show because they don't want to use, because they won't use you and you expect them to use you? Okay. And in that instant, I go, what an idiot I am. So I wrote to Todd and I said, hey, Todd, I got some magic buddies coming into town. I'd love to get them some discounts if they're available. Actually, I've never seen the show either. Let me know. And then when he responded, I only read the first line in the email and it said, I apologize, but there are no discounts available. And I'm like, see this motherfucker, God damn it. And then I open the email and it says, however, there will be 3 comps waiting for you at the door. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Right. I'm the asshole. It's always you. You're always the asshole. So yeah, like get out of your way. No one gives a shit about you unless unless it's like, go do the thing, swallow your pride, go in. And you know what happened? I went, they treated me so well. Everybody welcomed me with open arms. They came over and said hi. And Todd goes, we got to talk about your future with the show. And then the next week I was doing the show. So it was like, it's like, just go see the show, go do the thing. Don't get in your way. And like, I have learned that in the last 5 years more than anything to just be like, no one cares about you. It's none of your business what anybody thinks of you. All you have to do is do your thing, get good at it, put your nose down. Like I told you guys, I never got any recognition from the magic world. And I've realized now that I'm getting look, they did a little write-up about me and Jeannie. I'm doing your podcast. I'm doing a couple other podcasts. It feels great. But now I realize it doesn't really matter. Like you guys are, like we can geek out on magic all day, but you're not coming to my shows because you have shows. I don't, you know what I mean? Like we're performing for people that want to go be entertained. Some want to be entertained by magic. Some don't. Some people hate. You get those people that hate magic and their wife surprised them or their husband surprised them and say, we're going to a magic show. Yeah. I always say no, go ahead.
No, maybe you're going to say the same thing. I always ask at the start of the show, like in our parlor show, like who's seen a show before, who hasn't seen a magic show before, and who didn't know they were coming to this show. And you get like 3 or 4 like husbands or wives or girlfriends. And you're like, all right.
I don't ask it, but when they go, he didn't know what we were doing. And I go, oh, because if you told him, he wouldn't have wanted to come. That's like my thing. Which is usually not true. Usually they surprise them with it because they love magic. Yeah. But, I'm self-deprecating anyway. And I know a lot of people say you shouldn't be self-deprecating about magic and it lessens the art form. Come on. We can self-deprecate if you're a doctor. You can do that. I mean, it's like don't be so precious. It's like I'm here to perform and have a great time. And if I can do it on my own and
you're killing it. And
my day job is this show now. It's like, it's great. I love it.
I can't believe. Yeah. And you said you're doing 8 shows at the moment.
Well, no, at the moment I took these 2 weeks off because it was so dead, but I went from 3 shows a week. So I was doing shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7 PM. And I purposely did 7 because I thought maybe I'll add a late show at 9:30 instead of 10. Otherwise I'd start at 8. And when I knew that this piece was coming out, I said, all right, let me add this is what I did. I added all the late shows, and I marked a bunch of them as sold out. Like I marked all the Thursdays as sold out because I just figured no one was coming on Thursdays much anyway. And then as soon as the article came out, they started going, and I opened up all the Thursdays and they all sold out. And then I added then I added Wednesdays, just one show on Wednesdays. And then I added Sundays. And then I realized, all right, this is too much. I need to have one day of the week where other people are off. And I love a Sunday. So I got rid of the Sundays, and I also got rid of allowing kids in the show because I originally had on the website, it said an asterisk at the bottom, and it said, the show is intended for adults. However, if your kids are cool as shit, and I put that in all capitals, they're welcome to come. And that gives them, that's a vibe. That tells them what the vibe's going to be, right? And, you know, it's different. New York City kids, I hate to be that guy who's New York City, blah, blah. They're just smarter. They see more shit. It's a little more liberal. You can say shit to New York City kids that you can't say to other kids, you know. You can tell them to shut up, and they know that you're kidding, you know. But also, you know, they're shitty kids. So a parent that would bring their kid to that show, to the late show, has got issues, and it sucks for the other people in the room. So then I had to add, and please dress them up, no shorts, because I had kids coming, you know, and all sweaty from their soccer practice. Then I said, all right, no kids, only on Sundays. And then on Sundays I had 4 kids, and I go, that's it, no more kids. It's just not for me.
Yeah,
I don't want to. Yeah,
because sometimes they can sell extra tickets, but at the end of the day, we're adults trying to entertain adults with magic. And for everyone listening to this, by the way, we've been very broad with how to see your show, but I've just put up on the screen precisionclockandwatch.com is how you can learn more about the show, get the tickets, check it out. We're going to put it up in our Discord as well for those in the know there, but go and check it out, precisionclockandwatch.com. It's in the show notes of where you're watching or listening to this episode as well. But look, Greg, it's been great to see you just absolutely killing it from afar. Like, we got introduced through a mutual friend who just saw this thing, you know, this powerhouse you're building, and went and saw the show and spoke highly of it. And
great guy.
Now we're going to send many more magicians to go and enjoy it as well. I think, look, we're going to end our episode like we do every week. First of all, thank you for coming on, and you're welcome anytime here. But
thank you so much for having me, man. Like I said, this is my first time being on a podcast about magic. I was on a podcast before called Hey Poopy, where you describe incidences of shitting your pants.
I should go on that show then. I might hit them up. Yeah, nice.
Everyone's done it. I know you have a story about it, but thank you guys so much for having me, because it's really I love to talk about this stuff, and because I'm like, you know, I call myself like a lone wolf. I'm not really, you know, I have magic buddies, but I don't get to talk about it that as much as I'd like to, and this was really nice. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, buddy, I hope you feel like you've gained 2 more buddies at least. So, you know,
absolutely. Well,
I do.
Please. And yeah, we'll have to get an update, you know, in 6 months, a year time, how it's changed and grown, and even more so. And hopefully we'll get over there to see it ourselves.
It could be gone by then. I don't know. Like, I'm just taking it day by day. You know, maybe I'll be in Australia doing a show there. Who knows?
Hell yeah. I'll hold you to it. All right. Well, my friends, we're going to end our episode like we do every week with giving our guest the final word.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a blast. Yes, please go to precisionclockandwatch.com. @Dubin Magic is my Instagram, and Precision Clock and Watch. I know I have branding issues. There's a lot of things to do, but my last word will be this. Just do your thing, get out there, get good, get better, and then do your own thing. Do it, and do it well.
Thanks for listening. It's time for us to disappear now. But we'll see you again on the next episode of The Magic Guys.